If you never played a Final Fantasy game before, 16 is actually a great place to start. This game delivers some of the most unforgettable boss fights I've ever experienced. Not just for their epic scale, but for their challenge, personal rivalries, and the cinematic moments that stick with you long after the battle ends. When Clive primes and transforms into Ifrit, the battlefield erupts with fire, and the energy, the scale, and the stakes all go through the roof. Some fights are deeply personal, fueled by revenge and raw emotion, while others are massive clashes of gods that feel straight out of shonen anime. These battles are without question the highlight of Final Fantasy XVI, and the reason it's my favorite entry in the series. But with so many incredible encounters, narrowing it down to just 10 boss fights was no easy task. What makes a fight unforgettable? Is it the spectacle, the challenge, or those hell yeah moments? Hello guys, and welcome back to the KRYPT. Today I'm ranking the top 10 boss fights in Final Fantasy XVI. Okay, before we dive in, spoiler warning for those of you who haven't played FF16. 3, 2, 1. Okay, let's go. Number 10, Hugo Kupka. This one was a tough call between Hugo and his so-called lover Benedicta, but I had to give it to the brute. Fueled by rage after getting Benedicta's head delivered to him in a box, Hugo hunts down who he thinks is Sid. Once he finds out Sid is actually Clive, he makes it personal. He invades Clive's home and even tries to execute Jill the same way Benedicta's body was mutilated. Driven by revenge and Titan's sheer strength, Hugo becomes a classic "you hurt me, so I'll hurt you worse" villain. And Clive doesn't let that rage go to waste. He taunts him about killing Benedicta, even though Ifrit was the one in control at the time. The fight, as brutal as the brute himself. You face a semi-prime Hugo hurling an endless amount of earth elemental attacks. He even breaks the floor during the fight, turning the battlefield into his own personal playground. It's fists, grit, and mutual hate all around. But the ending is easily the best part of this fight. It's not the flashiest fight in terms of scale, but it feels personal and heavy, like fire and earth, two deadly forces of nature colliding. Number 9, Typhon. This fight kind of drops out of nowhere, but when it hits, it hits. When trying to destroy a Mother Crystal, a rift opens up and outsteps this ominous alien-like entity, Typhon. Bahamut tries to stop him, impaling him with his spear like it's game over. Unfortunately, it's not. Even skewered to a wall, Typhon starts summoning enemies like it's just an inconvenience. Then, he rips out the spear, shrugs it off, and comes at you with full force. Clive primes into Ifrit, turning this into a monster-on-monster showdown. Fiery rage versus otherworldly power. Typhon throws out attacks regularly, forcing you to stay on your toes. But it's what comes next that cements its place on this list. Just when you think it's over, Typhon merges with his clones and evolves into Typhon the Transgressor, a twisted alien-like being with too many limbs like Ultima. Another epic fight ensues, this time against the powered-up Typhon. The finale is straight up shonen anime. Ifrit charges Hellfire while Typhon unleashes a barrage of attacks. Just when you think Ifrit is defeated, up he stands, still holding on to his Hellfire attack. Remember when Goku used that massive spirit bomb against Frieza in the Frieza saga? Yeah, I'm definitely getting those kind of vibes. There's not much emotional weight here, but Typhon's transformation and the DBZ vibes is more than enough to lock this fight in at number 9. Number 8, Garuda. The femme fatale Benedicta, feeling powerless and rejected after Clive strips her of some of her Eikon powers, loses control and fully primes into Garuda, the Eikon of wind. What follows is chaos, a storm made flesh, tearing through the battlefield in a rage-fueled rampage. Clive steps in to stop her, and at first, it's just man versus monster. Garuda unleashes a relentless storm of melee swipes, aerial slams, and wind projectiles, keeping you constantly dodging and countering. Once you finally bring her down, it seems like it's over, but she gets back up, grabs Clive in her claw, and starts to crush him. That's when Clive snaps, awakening the beast within and priming into Ifrit for the very first time. Now it's fire versus wind in a brawl of raw power, fists, flames, wind bursts, and talon scratches. Garuda fights like a wild animal, even tearing off Ifrit's arm mid-fight and digging into him with her claws. She's unhinged, desperate, and vicious. But when it comes to sheer force, Ifrit overpowers her. Garuda doesn't quite pose the same threat as other icons. And narratively, there's not much tension between Clive and Benedicta compared to other rivalries. Still, the spectacle is top tier. It's the first time you get to control Ifrit fighting another icon, and it feels massive. The transformation, the tone shift, and the cinematic punches all deliver a truly standout boss fight. Number 7, Infernal Shadow and Infernal Eikon. Where Garuda was mostly spectacle, this fight brings both emotion and epic scale. Clive is finally confronting the truth of what happened at Phoenix Gate, the night his brother Joshua, the Phoenix, was killed. And the revelation, Clive was one who did it, as Ifrit. This battle is Clive versus himself, literally and metaphorically. It begins with a clash against the Infernal Eikon, the raw, feral embodiment of Ifrit, Clive's inner beast made manifest. It's an epic clash against the beast, but defeating it doesn't end the conflict. Instead, Infernal Shadow Shadow enters, a full-on clone of Clive himself. This fight escalates fast as the Shadow semi-primes, even throwing Ifrit's signature attack, Hellfire, at you. That's when Clive finally accepts the truth. He embraces the fire, semi-primes, and the scales even out. Then comes the next transformation. Infernal Shadow fully primes into Ifrit, ready to end Clive. But cue one of the most iconic moments in the game.
You are not afraid. I am.
What follows is a heavyweight boxing match between monsters, fists, flames, and fury. It's raw, visceral, and deeply personal. This isn't just a boss fight, it's Clive confronting guilt, rage, and identity, all wrapped up in a fiery spectacle that only FF16 could deliver. Number 6, Omega. Omega isn't an icon, but don't let that fool you. This fight stands out for all the right reasons. He's a mechanical menace, built with the Fallen's advanced technology, and his design screams alien tech nightmare. In phase 1, he bombards you with lasers, energy beams, and relentless projectile waves, turning the battlefield into a high-speed death trap. But when you finally shut him down, you barely have time to breathe. He reboots, transforms, and comes back even stronger as Omega, oh my god, how do you say that? Omega Ionios, complete with extra limbs and upgraded tech. Now trapped inside his rave-like void dimension, the vibe shifts completely. Neon lights, pulsing synth beats, and pure chaos. Phase 2 cranks it up to bullet hell levels, with Omega unleashing AoE attacks, lasers, and beams at breakneck speed. Then, when you think it's all over, Omega launches a final arena-shrinking desperation attack. It's a last stand, and you've got to throw everything at him to survive. Unlike the Eikon battles built on spectacle and story weight, Omega is pure gameplay challenge and mechanical mayhem. The visual design, soundtrack, and sheer pace makes it feel like it belongs in a completely different game. It's intense, it's different, and it's hard as hell compared to the base game's usually forgiving bosses. Number 5, Leviathan. After the first DLC boss comes the second, and this time it's an actual icon. And not just any icon, Leviathan the Lost, the hardest boss in the game. This fight kicks off in the middle of a raging, water-fueled storm as you're literally falling through the sky while trading blows with Leviathan. Survive that chaos, and now you're fighting on top of an ocean? Oh well, forget the logic, it makes for an epic boss fight arena befitting of the icon of water. During this phase, Leviathan bombards you with whirlpools, high-pressure water blasts, geysers, and his signature instant death tsunami. The timing window to stop the tsunami is ridiculously tight, especially on Final Fantasy difficulty. But manage to stop that tidal wave and survive his relentless assault, and you're rewarded with the epic clash of fire versus water, as Ifrit closes things out with his iconic Hellfire. The only knock against this fight is a lack of emotional stakes. There's no personal history between Clive and Leviathan, unlike some other icon battles. Despite that, the action is still top notch. The scale, the pressure, the arena transitions, it's full-blown cinematic boss fight that proves why Leviathan earns its place at number 5. Number 4, Titan. What could possibly make a bigger splash than Leviathan? Well, it's not quite a splash, it's a mountain-sized slam. If fighting Hugo semi-prime was already an intense clash of fire and earth, this fight cranks it up to seismic levels. Fueled by hatred for Clive, who killed his precious Benedicta, and clearly jealous that Jaime Lannister only lost one of his hands, Hugo fully primes into Titan. Titan is quite massive. Ifrit versus Titan is a true David versus Goliath situation. He starts with ground-shaking stomps, giant boulder throws, and massive hand sweeps. But after taking a beating, Titan goes full desperation mode, devouring the Nether Crystal to become Titan Lost, a creature the size of a damn mountain. Yeah, I wasn't joking about the mountain-sized scale of this fight. Set to some surprisingly fitting rock music, Ifrit scales this behemoth in one of the most cinematic and over-the-top moments in the entire game. You're running up stone tentacles, blasting debris mid-air, and holding your own in a battle that shakes all of Valycia. And when you think you can't get any crazier, you rip off one of Titan's own tentacles and skewer him with it, while falling thousands of feet in the air. But wait, there's even more. You literally split Titan Lost in half, revealing Titan inside, still alive and ready to fight. And while still plummeting, you go another round with him, finishing him off in a flurry of fiery punches straight out of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. The raw spectacle, combined with Clive's deep personal rivalry with Hugo, makes this fight pure madness in the best possible way. Number 3, Ultima. At first, I wasn't going to place Ultima this high on the list. He's more of a looming presence throughout the game, occasionally intervening when it suits him, but never getting his hands dirty. But once you actually face him, it becomes clear why this fight earns the number 3 spot. This is a multi-phase gauntlet of a battle, and every part of it pushes Clive and company to their limits, even resulting in some tragic losses.
Now, Father, it is time.
Clive goes toe-to-toe with Ultima, dodging elegant but devastating magic attacks. Ultima begins to show his true power, transforming into Ultima Risen, followed by Clive priming into Ifrit Risen. Ifrit's final evolution of fire and phoenix power. It's now godly beast versus godly beast in an incredibly high stakes battle. Just when you think things couldn't escalate further, after defeating Ultima Risen, he transforms into Ultimalius, his most powerful form. What follows is Clive using every Eikon ability at his disposal to eventually bring him down in an epic finale. Visually, mechanically, and emotionally, this fight delivers everything you expect from Final Fantasy final boss. The soundtrack soars, the stakes couldn't be higher, and the sacrifices were heavy. Through sheer willpower and defiance, Clive proves once for all he's not a pawn of fate, he is fate. Number 2, Odin. Why is Ultima's most loyal servant ranked higher than Ultima himself? Because unlike his master, Barnabas actually wins. From the moment he enters the story, Barnabas, dominant of Odin, is a threat. He doesn't just talk in riddles and poetry, he beats Clive twice. The first time, Clive only survives because Ultima needs him alive. So when the real boss fight comes, you'd think it's finally time to turn the tables. But no, Clive loses again. Seeing Clive bested for the first time was an unforgettable experience for me. Barnabas is untouchable, unkillable, and unstoppable in his resolve. That's why the rematch is so intense. The stakes are personal, and the action is off the charts. The fight begins with semi-prime Barnabas, slicing through the arena with elegant brutality. At half health, he fully primes and supercharges Zensuken. Oh my god, hey? Santesuken. I'm sorry if I butchered that. Into a sword the size of a damn mountain. Ifrit doesn't back down, he uses the sword against him.
You dare!
Damn, that was epic. In the end, Barnabas concedes, no longer calling Clive Mythos, and finally acknowledges him as Clive Rossfield. This isn't just a boss fight, it's a clash of gods, of ideologies, of fate versus free will. Odin's fight is legendary, epic in scale, devastating in power, and unforgettable in impact. Number 1, Bahamut. Even without a personal rivalry between Clive and Prince Dion, the dominant Bahamut, this fight is pure, unforgettable action, which is why it takes the top spot. Dion, devastated after unintentionally killing his father, loses himself in rage and primes into Bahamut, unleashing destruction upon Twinside. Clive and company have no choice but to stop him. From the very start, this fight is cinematic chaos. Fireballs, lasers, and projectiles light up the battlefield. Then, the Mother Crystal blooms like a giant flower, creating a stage for gods to clash. Ifrit charges in, but is overwhelmed by Bahamut's power. However, he's not alone. Phoenix joins the fight, giving you another taste of airborne Eikon combat. Even after being defeated, Bahamut doesn't quit. He drinks the ether and powers up again, forcing Ifrit and Phoenix to fuse into Ifrit Risen. Of course, skipping the fusion dance altogether. The battle escalates to the edge of space, where it's fire, lasers, and chaos at a scale no other fight matches. If Typhon was Goku versus Frieza in the Frieza saga, this is Goku versus Beerus in Battle of Gods. Bahamut, almost defeated once again, used Zeta Flare to try and destroy the world, but Ifrit stops it and delivers the finishing blow in a spectacular finale to this fight. From start to finish, this fight is over-the-top cinematic perfection. It's the ultimate hell yeah moment of FF16, and my undisputed number 1 boss fight. And that's my top 10 boss fights in Final Fantasy XVI. Did you agree with my list, or are you priming for a fight? Let me know in the comments down below. Also, be sure to subscribe if you'd like to see more ranked list videos and my upcoming 100% completion video on FF16. And if you ever want to chat, I have a Discord server in the description. But as always, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.